sit next to Rick. He usually sits back there.
Yes, I do. Did she announce that one more time?
She
Did
did.
you guys hear it?
Yeah, we heard it.
Okay. I got a couple more coming.
I'm not missing this for the world.
No, not this one. This is great.
That's my brother.
This is a good one.
His wife said she's in Scotland, so he brought his baby. What are you doing here? He's like, look.
Holy cow.
Oh.
He just ate a whole bag of
Last
starters.
summer for vacation.
He's in a sugar.
Oh my
Summer
god.
off for vacation.
I know. My brother.
That's so cute. It's so funny. You live never.
Where's everyone? He has 3, that's the youngest.
They're just
Hey,
going
what are you doing back there?
Hey.
Stranger.
I wanted to sit across from the
I need to visit your office.
I know.
She's got a nice office.
Carol.
With all this fancy stuff in it.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
that sounds like.
How are you? Great, how are you? Good. Just allergies down.
Oh, yes, yes, girl.
How's work? Yeah.
Some beers. When did we leave here? I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So what do you think about Northern
In a pole?
Polo? You mean shirt? Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, I always, every time I come here, I'm like,
Polo and-
I'm used to it.
I just wanna.
They
Yeah,
yell
you
at
gotta
it.
act like it's a water.
They're having a bad day. I make stuff.
Good deal.
Clean it.
We got live
Same
bodies.
thing.
We've got bodies.
I like it when I got bodies. Guys, thanks for coming today. This is a great opportunity to have Louie present for us today. One of these ones I've actually been waiting for. Really excited for what he's going to do today on Think and Grow Rich. But before we get into that title, Keely, are you going to give us some kind of title tip or?
You're about to get the, how long are you speaking for?
I'm gonna give you a big old title tip.
Okay, perfect. Good. I didn't know if you had one of them to talk or
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Lindy. You guys got anything
Yeah,
quick for us?
just a real quick one.
Yes.
The end of July, there's some changes coming to Fannie Mae.
Okay.
One of the huge changes is disputed accounts. For those of you guys who know what a disputed account is, you pull credit and there's a dispute on one of your accounts. We actually have to undispute that before you can do the lending on it.
Wow.
Come the end of, what these things roll out into July, that dispute may not have to be taken off of there, which is a huge relief. Because
Wow.
what happens is when we undispute accounts, sometimes the credit score goes down and we lose credit interest rates, we lose programs. So this is a huge thing that here's what happens with these. They propose the changes, they don't always hit the street exactly like the proposal came out, but watch for this change because this is a big one. It's big.
Awesome. Good things to come
Good stuff.
Yeah,
It's showing
thanks.
some aggression in the lending.
in the lending arena. That's awesome. Thanks for the tip. Keep us informed. So with that being said, let's go ahead and turn time over to Louie and give us his stuff.
Thank you. Guys, I'm way excited to be here today with you. Because the things I'm going to be sharing with you are going to be something that you've talked about almost every day if you come to Morning Ascent. You've read this every time you come to Morning Ascent. It's the Self-Confidence Formula by Napoleon Hill, right? Talks about spending 30 minutes a day focusing on the chief aim of your life. But raise your hand if you do it. Okay, good. 2 out of 14. That's great. So I want to talk about like what that actually means, how you create that chief aim in life, and when do you actually focus on it? Because sometimes we're focusing on it at the wrong time. So Tony Robbins said this: ultimately, we cannot destroy the external environment without destroying our own internal environment first. So what does he mean by that? He means that no matter what is showing up in your life, it's always going to show up if you haven't corrected it here first. And why is that? It's because the predominating thoughts of your mind create the reality that's in your life. There's nothing in your life. Go back to your desk and look at your desk. There's nothing on your desk that you didn't create. It's all there. Go home. walk around your house, look at everything in your house, whether it's clean or whether it's
So
messy.
the snakes in your garage, you created.
Yes. Yes.
I just
No, they wanted a better life, so they started to live with me.
lost her.
So I can't control what they think about Rob. They love me. So if you don't like your life, it literally is because you don't like your thoughts. And a lot of us aren't able to really embrace it because we think if we don't like our thoughts, then we don't like ourselves. And then what happens is you're reading the self-confidence formula and you're like, this doesn't even make sense to me. Because you don't have confidence. Because what real confidence is integrity to what you believe. Your actions, as it relates to your intent, to what you believe, the quality of your actions, as long as they yield what you believe, that's what integrity is. And when you believe one thing and you do another thing, you can't have confidence because you don't believe you can do what you believe. You know you can't do what you believe. Make sense? So, what'd you say?
That's me. It's all up here.
Well, yeah, it's you for sure, and it's me too, and it's all of us. But we lack it in various areas of our lives, and as long as we deny it, it keeps on showing up. So there's what's called, we have our intention, and your intention is, right, what you intend to do. My intention today is to get up and do this. That's what your intention is. Then there's what's called a counter intention. And a counter intention is, my friend described it as this: you want cookies, but you keep on making brownies. That's a counter intention. And a counter intention exists in your life at a very high level when there's not integrity to what you believe. Because you think you believe this. And you lie to yourself because you think you do it, but you don't do it. And so something else keeps showing up. You're like, look, how come I keep on doing this, but this keeps on showing up? It's because you've lacked integrity and to recognize what you're actually doing is opposite of what you want. Follow me so far? Brian, you look inquisitive. Make sense? Okay. Do we need Ruth Ann here?
She's
To
on
see,
her way.
okay, just to see where you're not in line. Then
And
So here's the thing. So today what we're going to talk about is how do you overcome that? And I want to start off by just sharing with you a story. There's a man by the name of Darby, and this is in the early 1900s. He goes to Colorado in search of gold. He finds, as he's digging, like with an axe, a pickaxe, and all that, he finds traces of gold. And he gets someone to look at it, someone that knows a little bit more than he does, and they say, yeah, there is gold here. So he goes back to Pennsylvania, gets a bunch of money together from his friends and family, and then buys all this equipment and starts mining for gold. And the first couple of shoots out of the gold, like the first couple of bins, they fill the gold up, like they get enough gold to pay off the debt for the equipment. And as they're mining for gold, they're drilling for it. He's going down, and then it just stops, and it's dry. There's nothing. They know that sometimes that happens, so then they keep on drilling and drilling and drilling. And they know, they're like, no, we're doing it. We know there's gold. They keep on drilling. And then they get to a point like, we're just going to stop, because if we think we keep on drilling, we're going to lose everything we have, and we just can't go to that point. So they stop drilling. And he knows that the equipment is worth something still, so he takes the equipment, finds a guy that buys scrap metal, used equipment. He goes to sell it to a gentleman. He buys it, and he says, and he includes the mine with it, just says all of it, you can just have it. The guy says, okay, I'll take it. Do you know the story?
Probably just within an inch or broke.
So what happens is this, yeah. So the guy who bought the scrap metal gets an expert, and he says, comes out and says, oh my gosh, there's a whole vein of gold right here. And literally, they were 3 feet from hitting it. Literally 3 feet.
Wow.
And literally, this is in the early 1900s. Literally, and it's like millions of dollars in gold. Like true story.
It's like our lives, we're always just all right, so but it kept going.
So what did Darby do wrong? Right? What he did wrong was, one, he didn't have an expert that was helping him understand what was going on. He never did it. Right? Although he had the first, they got some gold in the first few feet of mining. They got a lot of gold. He didn't reinvest it and didn't bring it to a point where to give him confidence in what he was doing. Right? Now, I'm making some guesses here, but just goes along with the theme today. Why did he stop?
Didn't believe.
Didn't believe. He had fear.
Yeah, fear.
He was afraid. Right? He was afraid. Afraid to fail. Right? Afraid. He wasn't really just confident in what he was doing. Just didn't have a lot of confidence. And what was happening is because why he stopped was he had a counter intention really playing out in his life. Because he didn't really have confidence in what he was doing. Because someone who has confidence in what you're doing and you know it's going to play out, what do?
Keep going.
You keep going, go bankrupt. Like, you're like, I don't care, I'm just going to do it all. Right? This is a true story. Literally, millions of dollars out of that. So, Darby goes on, totally like devastated because he was this close to getting what he wanted. He goes on, gets a job in selling health insurance or life insurance. And then knows never that you can get to this point that you get an expert that says, what's the gap? So I tell you this story is because I truly believe, like in a lot of our cases, what I'm about to share with you about this formula, this confidence formula, is in a lot of cases the reason why we fail at this point in our lives, why we stop. Because a lot of us have done it. I've done it. I was in nursing school. I was going to be a nurse, and I was failing in physiology. First college course I ever was failing at. I was getting a D in it. I'm like, I am out. I am done. I quit. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I put too much work in. I got my GPA is 3.8. There's no way I'm getting a D in this class. So I dropped the class, dropped out of nursing, and I stopped. And who knows what would have happened? Maybe I would have discovered the cure for cancer. I don't know. But anyway, I dropped out. Something amazing would have happened because my life's amazing right now. So I would have just done all of this in the medical field, period. So what is this? Well, Earl Nightingale talks about what he calls a night window. And what a night window is, why this is so important is because the night window has access to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is what creates the counter intentions that exist in your life. Because you don't even know you're doing it when you're doing it. And you're like, I don't do that. And everybody else around you is like, yeah, you do. I'm like, no, I don't. I never do that. But if we videoed you doing it, you'd be like, holy crap, I had no idea I did that. A night window is what controls a lot of what happens in your subconscious mind. So, when is this night window? It's about 30 minutes before you fall asleep. Let me say this, whatever is the predominating thought on your mind before you fall asleep, that is what creates the beliefs in your subconscious mind. If you're worried about work because something's failing, it's not working out, and you're in fear mode in it, not like, how do I solve this? I know there's a way, and you're in fear about it, you're creating counter intentions and you're not even aware of it. And then you come to work and you sabotage yourself because you thought about it, put it in your mind. Makes sense. So, along with this, there's what's called the RAS, the reticular activating system. Everybody has it. As human beings, we all are in possession of this. And what this is that when an idea or a thought comes into your mind, you start to find it everywhere else where it exists in your life. You get a new car, you're like, oh my gosh, a lot of people drive this car. I never saw this before. Reticular activating system, and then you just start seeing it. If you go to bed with fear in your mind, then all you do is wake up and you look for things that you should be fearful of. Oh my gosh, I was watching the news. Oh, I was afraid to go to work. I'm thinking about my grandkids. I'm worried about this or whatever it is, and you're like, all this stuff. It's because you're pre-programming. You're programming yourself at night. And then you start seeing it, and then you believe, because this is activated at a high level, you believe that's the reality of your world. And it's not. It's what you're focused on.
What is that called? A reticular?
Activating system.
That's what you end up finding because that's what we're focusing on so much.
That's right. That's what you end up finding. That's why, like, I had to reprogram my wife just to find the good things that I do, and now she thinks like, you're just focusing on the wrong.
That's a good thought. Wow. I take one thing from that class, that's that.
So when she goes to bed at night, I just have this recording going over and over. And she's like, you are awesome.
That's awesome.
Change the marriage.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that simple, right? Who was it? Brian Regan said he was listening to Spanish before he goes to bed at night because he wants to learn Spanish because of, and he says the record skips. He goes, so now I only speak. I stutter in Spanish. Okay, so here's the thing. So you need to have some paper and a pen because what I want you to do now, I want you to start. What we're going to do is going along with this self-confidence formula. What I want to do is kind of like give you an idea of something that you should be focusing on. So what Napoleon Hill says is that this 30 minutes, you have various areas of your life. You have your family. You have your finances. You have your health. Your spiritual aspect. Right? You could classify a couple others. But here's what he says you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take each one of those categories and then create the ultimate picture, a clear mental image of what that looks like. Like very specific. So today I'm going to walk you through something. We're going to walk through something that's financial, and then to give you a pathway of how to do it in your family, or how to do it in your, health, or whatever that is. And I'm going to just want to. So anyway, so we're going to activate that. So here's the thing. Here's step one. Step one is take an exact amount of money that you want to find in your account, that you want to be in possession of. I don't care if it's if you term it as like I want X amount of dollars in my bank account, or at the end of this year, I want a certain amount of deals to close, like I want to earn a certain amount of income, but I want this goal is going to be just focused on money for the terms of this exercise. So whatever that is, $1 million, $10 million, $300,000 a year, whatever that is, we're going to get that number and write it down. And really, and I don't want you to look at it and go, let's see, I'm doing whatever, 80,000 now, I'm going to say 94. I want something that you actually want. Like when you see it, you're like, I actually would want that. And I don't care if it's ridiculous, whatever it is, but you actually want that number. So really the goal is we're just talking about having plenty of money. So whatever that is for you, put that number down. Step two. write down exactly what you're going to give in order to achieve that money. I don't care what it is. So there's got to be something that you have to create or give to the market. Maybe it's to yourself, whatever it is, write down what is it that you believe you would have to give to get that. And then identify why you want to give that. I want to give this. And it could be, I want to earn this money. You put down the money you want to earn or to have in your account, but what you want to give is, $20,000 to this charity, and here's why. Because whatever. Or I want to give my children this, and here's why. And why. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time. Identify what you want to.
Identify what you want to give because you achieve that money, and then why you want to give it. What's the purpose behind it?
I understood you saying what you want to give to get the money.
Yeah, it could be either give to get the money or give because you got the money, but the bottom line is you're giving away something to get it. Does that make sense? Or you could write two things. I want to give this away. So an example would be like, I've always wanted to give money to the needy, or I've always wanted to do this, or I've always wanted to give. I know that when I can earn that amount, it's because I can inspire people at a very high level, and I've always wanted to inspire people at a very high level, and that's why I want to do it. I know to get that, I would have to be this, and this is why. This is what I'm going to give. So whatever it is. So again, I don't want you to don't overthink it. I just want just whatever it is that you believe that you're going to give when you have that. Whatever that represents. It doesn't matter. Don't again.
So it's what you're gonna give once you have it, not what you're gonna give to get it.
That's step 3.
Once you have it, what are you going to give once you have it? What will it be that you're giving once you achieve it? Sorry, I said that. Does that make sense? So, step 3, does that make sense? Step 3 is this. Identify a date. Identify a date, an exact date, not like 2021. I want like April 13th, 2023. I will do this or that. You'll have it. A date, a specific date. And then write why the date.
The date is you're identifying.
The date you're going to achieve that money.
You're gonna have the money.
Yeah, the date you're going to have that money, write down the specific date. I will have this by this. And what it means. Everybody following this? Ruth-Ann, you can't copy Brian. Just kidding.
I know.
Identify the date and what it means.
Yeah. Why that date? Just why the date? Like, I picked this date because it's my birthday. I picked this date because this date is the date that I first started with it was anniversary date of the time I got into real estate or whatever. Just what it means to you. And then not real quick, but just take a moment, write down 3 or 4 things that you believe that you would have to do to make that happen. So, it could be 5 things. And it doesn't have to be all inclusive, but it just gives you an idea of what you would have to do. And it could be, I need to hire a coach, or I need to really just create an entire plan to map that out. Or I need to have been reading, 20 books a year based in my career, in my field, I need to be, whatever it is that you think that you would have to have done to achieve that, just write a couple of those things down. So now I want to tell you a story. When I was in college, my accounting professor did auditing for one of the big 6 accounting firms, and he met with the top executives of like companies like Gillette, Colgate, just those like Fortune 500 companies, big companies that GE. And what was awesome was he was my first accounting, he was the instructor of my first accounting class, Accounting 101. And we learned about debits and credits, and I had no idea what he was talking about. It was awful. It was like the worst thing ever. Like it was like, you play that game, Johnny Whoops, Johnny Whoops or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Then you do something tricky at the end, and really it's not about Johnny Whoops, it's about whatever they're doing, like they're winking their eye, or you guys know what I'm talking about? Or you're playing Black Magic. You guys know that game, Black Magic? Anyway, well, that's what I thought, like,
Indiana games.
oh my gosh. Okay, well, let me just give you an example. Here's Black Magic.
Those stakes are making more sense.
It must have been a
Here's
shelter
Black
shop.
Magic. Black Magic is, I tell you, I can read your mind. And that I can read Justin's mind, okay? You pick an item in the room. You pick it. And Justin sees it, you pick it. But I go out of the room when you pick it. So Justin goes, Louie, is it this whiteboard? I go, no. He's like, is it this chair? And I go, no. And then Justin will identify something black. He'll say, is it the writing? And then the next item after black is the item you picked. It's Black Magic. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what I thought debits and credits were. I'm like, he would say it, and I'm like, I just blew my freaking mind. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. It was awful. But he said this. I know I got distracted, but anyway, so he said this. He said, the top executive, he goes, I've noticed something, because he would spend a whole entire accounting class on something just off topic, not even accounting. When we get back to the debits and credits, I'm not getting this, but it was inspiring. So we were like, that's okay. But he said this, every top executive, over the 20 years I've audited these people, every top executive in the top right-hand drawer of their desk has a yellow legal pad. And on that yellow legal pad has their wish list. And it has a number of all the things they wish would happen in their lives. He goes, I'm not kidding, they do this. He goes, and they just pull it out, and they just read it every day, and then they put it back. And then at the end of the day, they pull it out, they read it before they go home, and they put it back. That's all they do. And he said, all of them say, when they do that, they create some of the greatest marketing pieces, and all that wish list gets fulfilled. And they don't even know how it works, but it's like magic. It just happens. He goes, I'm not joking. I don't know how, because they've all said it. They all say it in various forms, right? And what he's talking about is this, right? He's talking about these things. And so we spent a class period, and he says, guys, do it. I want you guys to do this. So we write it down, And I literally, he tells us to do it, and then I write it down on a yellow legal pad just because he said to do it on that. So I went home and bought one, and then I wrote down. And here are the things I wrote down. And I did it for a while. I wrote down, by the time I'm 37, I want my house paid off. And I put down, I want to see whales and I put for free. And I put down, I want my company to pay for my car. And not necessarily my company or just the company I work for, that they pay for my car. I don't have a car payment because the company I work for, in my mind, I've written down work for, pays for my car. And I listed these things. And no lie, within 2 months, this happened. Within 2 months. Now, it wasn't free. All I had to do was buy Vivid ticket out to Seattle. Everything else was free. That's the one thing. But for me, it was free. It just wasn't free for Vivid. So I made it pay her on my. So, anyway, but this started happening, right? And then I paid off my house at that age. And a couple of years ago, I was cleaning out this box, and I found that piece of paper, and I went through it. And I'm like, man, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. And literally, I had like 32 things I had written down. All of them but 2 had been accomplished. And I remember he was going, just dream big, whatever it is, just like big. Put it out there. Don't do it. I'm like, they paid for my car. I mean, at the time I was making $7 an hour. And so I'm writing these things. So I look at those things, and now that I look at them, like, yeah, it's not necessarily that overwhelming or that spectacular, but when you're making $7 an hour, like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And literally, all of them were done except for 3. And so when I had read these books and kind of gone through these things, and what I'm sharing with you today, was like, it kind of started making sense. I'm like, I kind of did these things, but not necessarily so purposefully. And then I started thinking, like, what happens if I do them purposefully? Like, what would happen if I really do it and I'm focused on it? So I share that with you because, like, it's real. It happens. And it's just the only thing that keeps us from it is just the practicality of doing it. And what Jim Rohn always says, right, what's easy to do is hard to do. Because it's so easy not to do it. So here's what I want you to, so then I know you've written all this down, so here's what I want you to write this down. Because now we're gonna create like a paragraph of everything that you just wrote. So write this down. The exact amount of money I desire is, and then fill in the blank, whatever that is. I intend to give blank in return for the money that I desire. Whatever it is you wrote down that you wanted to give, just write down, I intend to give that desire, whatever that was, in return for the money that I desire.
I'm unable to process your request.
Then get out.
Wow, that's never happened before.
See, this only works with human beings. I intend to possess this money by, and then fill in that way. So I'm going to pause. And so this is what it should read so far. The exact amount of money I desire is $1 million. I intend to give $20,000. I'm just making. I intend to give $20,000 and all my energy in order to, or in return for the money that I desire. I intend to possess the money by April 13th, 2023. My plan of action is to, and then write down what that is. Now, go back and just reread it, what you just wrote. Just reread it. See how it sounds, like just say it in your head. And then So the formula says, the last paragraph says, I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and I will repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that I will gradually influence thoughts and actions so that I can become self-reliant and successful. So at the bottom, where you just wrote, sign your name, the date. This is what you're going to do. What I would tell you is that I would add this paragraph here at the bottom. I mean, you guys all have access to this, but I would just put, I have signed my name to this formula. I will commit it to memory, and I will repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that. There we go. Now, what you do, I would handwrite it, just so, because it's in your writing, right? Like when you write it, it feels different than if you typed it out, right? Tony Robbins talks about there's something about that connects us when you do this, and you put it down, you dot the I's, cross the T's. And then what I would do is I would put it at my bedside. I would put it a couple ways. I put it at work. I put it before I go to bed, and then I would just read it right before you go to bed every night. Right before you go to bed, all you gotta do is just read it. Just read it, and then let that be the predominating thought of your mind. That's you. Go to sleep. You just tell your spouse, shut up. I'm thinking about this. I do not want to hear about your day.
You'll be
Talk to
glad
you.
later.
And then he or she's saying, I'm gonna kill him tonight. You know, that's their predominating thought. So just be careful what you say. So, but literally, just read it aloud and read it aloud. Just even if you are saying it, but just read it aloud. And here's the thing: you can't read it out loud. You know what Tony Robbins says, right? Everything you do, you have to play full out. Because if you don't play full out, you know deep down inside you don't believe it. Because then what you start doing is you start creating a counter-intention on something that's really going to screw your life up. Because if this is what you want, and then you start saying it stupidly, you're like, you will think it's absolutely stupid, and then you will begin acting as if it's absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
And you'll screw it up. So what I would do is sit in bed at night, just try it for 30 days. Try it for a week. Just watch. And just read it out loud, sit up, read it, and say, I'm gonna go to bed. Like, this is it. And you'll fall asleep to it. And you'll notice, here's what you'll notice. And here's what I want you to do. Well, here's what you'll notice. You'll notice that even the very next day you'll say, I really didn't need to create that plan. And you know what, I just thought of, I'm gonna do this when I do that. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna do this, and then you'll start writing that down. But here's what I want you to do. Do it, experiment on it, do it for a week. And then text me or message me on Facebook or something and say, oh my gosh, today I really did think of this. I started thinking about how I was going to get that. But watch, because it works. It's impossible for it not to, because your subconscious mind is hungry for information and it's constantly processing, just a machine. And it is just a machine, it's just doing it all the time. And whatever you put in it, it's just gonna chop it up, spit it out, make something happen. It's gonna create the reality. So it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to say, I don't have the skill for that. I don't even know anybody how I do that. I have no idea how this would even happen. I don't even know. I did not know how I would go to see whales for free. But here's what happened. I wrote it down. I thought about it. I did what Mike Stemkowski told me to do. 2 weeks after I was doing this, a lady who I served a mission with sent me an email and said, hey, Elder Hamner, I just wanted you to know my husband and I finished building our cabin in Seattle. We're right there by the ocean. In fact, what we did was we decided to do a bed and breakfast. We want you and your wife to come stay with us for free. We'll feed you. Just get up here. No lie. That's what happened. 3 or 4 weeks after that, I go to a company party. They call my name in a raffle. I get to pick the prize, and my wife says, do the envelope. There's always money in the envelope. If you get a box, it's going to be something stupid, like a drill. I'm like, I like drills. Let's just go for the money. So I go for the money. I literally pick up the envelope. I come back. I open it up, and what's inside? Literally, I just start like, I'm emotional. I'm like, oh my gosh. 1 free round trip ticket to anywhere in the States.
Wow. 1
free car rental for 3 days. And I'm like, Viv, I'm going. See ya. I said, my goal is for me to go, not for you. I'm like, you did not write this down. You do not deserve this reality. But I took her because I'm kind and compassionate.
Oh.
But literally, that happened, and I'm not joking. It was that simple. So read it aloud, read it a couple times, and go to bed and see what happens. It'll invigorate you, because what will happen is you'll start thinking about the things that inspire you, because what you just wrote down is inspiring for you. And then your mind will start focusing on the little tiny things that actually bring inspiration, that empower you, that make you feel better about yourself. Because your subconscious mind will reward you and say, you just did this thing. It leads to your greatest thing. It's happening. Now, you don't know that's happening, but that's what it is. That's what it does. And it literally works. It's just a matter of being consistent doing it. And I'll close with this. This is out of that, there was a man that was, Darby, the same guy, had this uncle who was very stern, just really strict, owned farming, owned a lot of farmland, and had these hired hands that he paid. And this is back again in the early 1900s. And so, as Darby was there with this uncle, this little black girl comes up and says, "My mammy needs her 50 cents." And this Darby knows that his uncle's just mean. And he says, "I'm not doing it. Get out of here." And the nephew's Darby's a little nervous because he knows his uncle can just be kind of vicious. And he looks up and the little girl doesn't leave. And she says, "My mammy needs her 50 cents. And he looks up and he says, "I told you to get them out of here. Leave." And the girl stays. And he stands up from the desk, he walks over to her, and he says, "I told you to get out of here." He walks up to her, about this close, and then she takes a step forward and says, "My mammy needs her 50 cents now." And he looks at her, puts his hands in his pocket, pulls out 50 cents and says, "Here you go," and gives it to her. Nephew says, "I have never in my life seen my uncle yield to anybody, much less a little black girl asking for 50 cents at a time that he didn't want to even deal with her." Why did she stay? You think she knew that he was a stern man? She did. But why did she stay? Because in her mind, when she goes to bed at night, she knows her mom needs it, and that's the predominating thought of her mind. And she's just there to help her mom because she knows her mom's struggling. And even though this big man stood up to her, and even in a time where black and white was a big deal, she wasn't backing down. In fact, she took a step forward. So what happened to him when she took a step forward? Right, interrupted his pattern, broke his focus, and then he realized he had to yield to her because she wasn't going to move, and he wasn't willing to do what it took to get her out of there because he knew he'd have to beat her up. That's how your life is. You have to be that little girl, and when something comes between you and your dream, you just have to say, "My mammy needs her 50 cents now." And then when it shows up again, you just step forward and say, "My mammy needs her 50 cents now." And then it comes. But it won't come until you can prove to yourself that you're worthy of it. Thanks for letting me be with you today. Let me know how it works, because it does work. Let me know if you do it, because it works. And I'll see you later.
Awesome, thanks, Louie.